It appears that BJP has taken a sting out of the biggest opposition plank. That's caste census, a decision which will have huge socio-political implications. The Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs has approved caste enumeration in the forthcoming population census. Taking a dig at the Congress, Ashwini Vaishnaw, who addressed the press after the Cabinet, said that Congress and its India alliance partners have used caste census time and again as a political tool, and added that the previous UPA governments failed to conduct a caste census but held surveys. Remember that every census in independent India from 1951 to 2011 has published data on scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, but not on other castes. Before that, every census until 1931 had data on caste. Soon, BJP leaders, government ministers, allies of the central government congratulated Prime Minister Modi for his political will. Rahul Gandhi, who also addressed the press, said that it was their decision that has been adopted by the government and he is glad about it. Listen in.
Caste census, we have been fighting now for some time. Government has opposed. For some reason, we don't understand what that reason is. They have suddenly decided to do it. We welcome that. We are happy that they have done the caste census. We have put enough pressure on the government to get the caste census done. We want a date by when it's done. We are going to put pressure on the government to make sure that 50% cap is destroyed.
Rahul also demanded that a timeline must be adopted, and also suggested that the government can learn some points from the Telangana caste survey. Let's also listen in to what Ashwini Vaishnaw had said while making that announcement for the caste census.
Well understood that Congress and its India alliance partners have used caste census only as a political tool to ensure that a social fabric is not disturbed by politics. Caste enumeration should be transparently included. I'm emphasizing the word transparently included in the census instead of surveys. This will strengthen the social and economic structure of our society while the nation continues to progress. Under the leadership of our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, the Cabinet Committee of Political Affairs has decided today, that is 30th April 2025, that caste enumeration should be included in the forthcoming census.
But now in the battle over caste, is the caste census just about empowering the invisible, or is it a political battle setting the tone for poll battles which will be taking place now onwards in the east and south of India? Or is it BJP's latest Brahmastra? Joining me on the show is Aishwarya, who was tracking the cabinet meeting. We have Uma to give us the details of the Telangana caste census, and Prabhakar Kumar is joining from Patna. That's where the first test of this announcement will be. Coming to you, Prabhakar, first, we heard from Tejasvi. We have also seen the reaction which came in from Nitish Kumar. Tejasvi says that the caste survey, which happened in Bihar a few years ago, in 2017 to be specific, was because he was in power along with Nitish. Do you think people on the ground will believe and give him that benefit of doubt that, as far as social engineering is concerned, they have an upper hand over Nitish Kumar?
See, this fight over the narrative as to who gets the credit for it will continue, especially in Bihar. It will continue because Bihar is the first state which will go to polls after this announcement. A very important announcement has been made. And remember, Tejasvi Yadav, the RJD, they have been trying to corner the NDA government over this caste census. They have been pressing upon the government to include it in the 9th Amendment. And actually, when the reservation ceiling was struck down by the High Court, then also there was a lot of hue and cry over this, especially by the Congress and RJD. Now, after this announcement, what BJP has done, they have diffused the biggest weapon which the opposition had here in Bihar, and which they were intending to use in the coming elections. It would have actually been one of the major issues on which the RJD and Congress would have tried to corner the NDA, the JDU and the BJP as well. Now, after this announcement, whether that how would they actually set the other narrative, whether they try to take the credit for what the BJP has done for this announcement, and they would certainly try to make a point to the voters that it's because of their pressure, as we just heard Rahul Gandhi making the similar point, that's because of their pressure that the BJP was forced to make this announcement, and they would try to get some credit out of it. But certainly Bihar would be the first testing ground where this announcement's impact would be tested in just few months from now.
Okay. Bihar will be the first testing ground. In fact, Shambhavi Chaudhary, Member of Parliament of the LJP, will be joining me any moment as well. But before that, a quick word from Uma Sudhir on the big takeaways of the census which happened in Telangana, which Rahul Gandhi says that the centre can learn from.
Maria, Telangana conducted the first socio-economic, political, economic and also employment and caste census. It's not called a census because census is something that is in the purview of the union government, and therefore this is called a survey. And Revanth Reddy's post on X is an indicator of what the Congress is trying to do here, because Revanth Reddy says that Rahul Gandhi's vision has turned into government policy, and he is saying that despite being in the opposition, Rahul Gandhi has managed to convert his vision into government policy. Second part, he is thanking Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and he is also taking credit, saying that the OBC reservation that has been increased to 42%, that's the Assembly of Telangana passing that resolution after declaring, according to the new figures, that the OBC population in Telangana is about 56%. Revanth Reddy had enhanced it to 42%, the reservation for the OBCs, and therefore he is saying the rest of the country is now inspired by what Telangana has done. And the takeaway line is what Telangana does today, India is doing tomorrow, and that's where the Congress obviously is going to try and corner the credit for it, saying that we were the role models, we are the people who are leading the way. Of course, Congress in every election meeting and otherwise, Rahul Gandhi has been speaking about caste census. So while the credit war will continue, the BJP, the NDA certainly has stolen the thunder from the Congress, because they have now implemented what they would put out to the public domain. They're already speaking about the fact that the Congress in the past has not favored a caste survey, and they say they are the ones who are actually implementing it. Back to you.
Absolutely, Uma. The fact is that it's about walking the talk, and the political will has been displayed by this government. I'm going to come to Ash in just a bit, because Shambhavi Chaudhary, Member of Parliament of the LJP, is joining me from her constituency. Shambhavi, what is the mood on ground? This is a battle of narrative. This will be a battle of, credit taking. What is the mood on ground among your constituents? Do you think the NDA and the BJP will have an advantage in Bihar?
Of course, I think the NDA and the BJP will have an advantage, and I think the public in general is very enthusiastic. They're very excited, because I think this is one demand that has been going on in the country for a very long time. And needless to say, Bihar has paved the way for the entire country. Caste census was rightly done under the leadership of our Chief Minister, Mr. Nitish Kumar. And our party's national president, Shri Chirag Paswan ji, has also continuously advocated for a caste census despite any obstacle that came the way. So there's a lot of enthusiasm and there's a lot of excitement, and we're just hoping that this is a historic decision, and it will contribute significantly in our the dream of Viksit Bharat, the sankalp of Viksit Bharat that we have. This decision will contribute to it significantly.
Yes, Shambhavi, the fact is that Bihar had a caste survey in 2017. At that time, it was a Mahagathbandhan government with Nitish Kumar as the chief minister. Today, Tejasvi Yadav says that they have shown the way to the center, that it was under their pressure that, along with standing demand of the RJD and the India bloc, including Rahul Gandhi and others, have been implemented. So you should be ready to share the credit for this decision.
I think it's very petty of anybody to try to take credit of something that is so large and something that's going to impact so many people. It's a decision for the country, and all the credit goes to our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, because I think it takes courage to take such decisions, and he has that courage. Tejasvi Yadav, I'm sure, does a lot of He's trying to, project it as if it was his decision. But key NDA allies like Janata Dal United and Lok Jan Shakti Party have also continuously advocated for it. So it will be, I think it will be very unfair and limited to say that this was an opposition demand. This was the country's demand, and all representatives of the people have continuously requested our Prime Minister to include the caste census in the population census.
Okay, the larger question, since you are one of the youngest MPs in this Lok Sabha, Shambhavi, one view is, and Rahul Gandhi also spoke about it, was that this will perhaps set the stage for what will happen next in the private sector.
I think it's a long way ahead, and we should go step by step, and we'll see how this pans out. Once the caste census is done, definitely we'll have a better understanding of the demography. As representatives of the people, we'll have better understanding of the people, and it will enable us to design better policies that cater to the needs of the people, that caters to the population. So definitely a lot is going to change, but we are very optimistic that it's going to change for the better.
So are you of the opinion, and as an ally of the BJP at the center, that this is a historic moment, a landmark moment for India, because a step has been taken towards social justice and inclusive growth?
Definitely, it's a big step towards social justice, towards inclusive growth, and to ensure there is equality, and the ideals that we stand for, that is achieved.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's see how it plays out in our home state. Shambhavi, 6 months to go for Bihar elections. Joining me on the show tonight, Tuhin Sinha, national spokesperson of the BJP, Bhavya representing the Congress, Amitabh Tiwari is political strategist. We have Professor Badri Narayan, political analyst, and Dr. Suraj is an author of Caste Matters. I'm going to begin with the analysts first, and perhaps Dr. Suraj Yengre will be able to put this in context better. What does today mean for the larger socio-political context of India?
Maria, this is not really a serious move as far as I can see if you look at the history. The timing of this is very peculiar, right? I mean, there's election, but also there's an attack, the government's inefficiency in what happened in Belgaum. You have to pay attention to what was there, that accountability that was going to corner the government about its own efficiency. And if you look at the history from 1931 onwards, this was essentially the communal award that was then signed between Gandhi and Dr. Ambedkar in 1932 that led to India, Government of India Act and so forth. We know the history. Now, from 1951 onwards, the government has been collecting some sort of data, especially it authorized the states to collect the data. What we essentially miss in this is the data of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes has been there. It's not absent. This is about the backward classes and other caste groups who are not enumerated. So that was the main kind of contention for the Mandal Commission. We don't have the data, and that was kind of an effort that was taken in this direction. Now, I don't have much hopes from this government that is seriously, liar and a peddler of fake news. And again, this may be one of their on another jumlas because they have not given the date when they will do it. They don't have any program. What happened with SECC, Socio-Economic Caste Census, that was done in 2011, was it was mired by a lot of inefficiency, and the government just responded. The Ministry of Rural Affairs conducted that, and the Registrar General and other statistical bodies didn't even endorse it. So if this happens, what are the assurances that despite having this kind of political gimmick and then the googly that has been played into this football field, where do we really go? And the other point we need to pay attention to is, and I think this is important, is the fate of censuses that's been happening since 1872, but 1881 onwards, was to really try to improvise, because it's not a fixated caste location. The caste that Prime Minister Modi belonged to, Modghanchi, was not OBC until he became a CM and made it an OBC. So you see, it's an evolving list. And so looking at this from the perspective of Bihar and the state elections, we have to understand that the 1931 census paved a path for a strong anti-caste lobby seen through Independent Labour Party of Dr. Ambedkar 1937 elections that really gave good results, where he could really figure out what caste groups are in which constituency, and that could really bring about good results. 1951 onwards, doesn't happen. 2011, they do it a separate chart, which is separate from the caste census. That was a demand. And this is probably Congress and BJP playing along the same line because they don't want the Savarnas, the historically oppressor communities, to see that they are the major player and stakeholders. And that's why I think Rahul Gandhi's demand here also is, I mean, it's laughable that his own party had disowned, and now they are trying to come around this to bring reservation not just in government but also private sector, which is a welcoming move. But I suspect, Maria, for now, to comment and celebrate anything because the progress report of this government has done nothing to empower the other backward classes and the people victimized by caste.
Okay, Professor Badri Narayan, in the absence of a timeline, is celebration too soon?
Yeah, I think, Maria, this timeline of this announcement, or rather you can call it timing of this announcement, has a major political meaning. It's Bihar and also Tamil Nadu elections is going to be there. And these are the very OBC dominated states. This kind of the stand which government took is going to affect the electoral politics in 2 ways. One is, as I used to say, that Yuga Nupur, BJP is a Yuga Nupur party, or the way they adopt and they adapt the situation and form and frame the policies. So to counter it was the entire politics of creating a kind of polarization based on caste. What BJP is going to do with this kind of announcement, that yes, caste identity is there, that will prevail. But with that, there are developmental issues, there are other kinds of issues will come together. So they have created a broader platform, and in that, this unaddressed issues of the caste census they have addressed. And Congress, which was usually a party of meritocracy, now turned towards the Samajwadi. In Bihar election, the three or four social justice model are going to contest with each other. One is Congressy Nehruite model, which was based on meritocracy, turned towards the socialist model based on the caste identity, and Bahujanwadi model, and the Samagra Samajik Nyaya model, which BJP is trying to evolve. In that, they are saying, look, vertical, the Samajik Nyaya format will be there, but also horizontal. So they are using and bringing together various kinds of social justice postulates together and frame a policy. So it's a bigger politics and policy of framing Samagra Samajik Nyaya holistic social justice model with caste identity, adding with other things also. So that way, the Bihar election is going to be a contest of this whole social justice model.
Okay, let me get a word from Aishwarya, who was tracking this press conference which was held. Aishwarya, there was a lot of anticipation as to what will be the big announcement, and this government certainly has made a big announcement, but it has taken all of us by surprise.
Well, certainly, and it was a jam-packed auditorium at the National Media Center where Ashwini Vaishnaw had made that statement of what the decision had come out of CCPA. It was, all speculations that and all eyes were glued to that press conference as a lot of journalists were waiting because it was Prime Minister Narendra Modi who chaired 4 crucial meetings in the morning, and soon after that there was a briefing. But of course, it has taken a bit of surprise, sent shockwaves to the opposition parties as well, and it is, of course, both the NDA or the opposition taking credit. Already the political war of words had begun. And remember, Ashwini Vaishnaw, while reading out that statement of what decision has been taken of the CCPA, the first statement was that it is the Congress who had opposed the caste-based census, and it is now the opposition parties who have been saying that it is Rahul Gandhi who went to different places in the country while campaigning and at time and again asked the government to conduct a caste-based survey, and that's what they demanded. And although Rahul Gandhi welcomed it as well, the battle war will continue of the credit that be it the NDA or the opposition, but how it will pan down to the ground in the election-bound states, it's something that will be very interesting to see.
Absolutely, Aishwarya. Thank you so much. Sachin Pilot, senior Congress leader, is joining me now. Mr. Pilot, the government says that the Congress governments have always opposed caste census and that caste was not included in all the census operations conducted since independence. And they are also saying that in 2010, the then Prime Minister, late Dr. Manmohan Singh, had assured the Lok Sabha that the matter of caste census would be considered in the cabinet, which was not done. So when it is about political will, it is Prime Minister Modi who has displayed it rather than you, who had the option of executing it, but you did not.
I am absolutely amazed how one can try and spin this story at this hour. For months and months and months, Mr. Rahul Gandhi and the entire Congress party, at all our working committee resolutions, all our conventions, we have been shouting from the rooftops that we want a caste census. Now, a lot of people in the media thought this is breaking up the country, this is not required to be done, and the BJP, no less, the government of India, had on multiple occasions said not to be done, this is not required. In fact, every minister in the government of India went and shouted that we don't want the caste census. Now, after the pressure mounted, and Mr. Gandhi in Parliament and outside made an issue of it, the government today relented and announced it will do a caste census. I think it's not about the credit. This is the beginning of what we feel is the right way forward. This is going to open the door for us to understand exactly where people are living in, under what conditions. Unless you have the data, scientifically attained data, you can't act on it. The question about credit and political advantage is not important for us. What's more important is that we've been able to force the hand of the government, which was so reluctant and vehemently opposed to this, finally gave in. And they only give in when the water is above the nose. And that's what happened today. And let's see how this pans out, because the quality of the data and actions henceforth will be far more important than the mere announcement this afternoon.
Again, what the government is saying, yes, it may not be about credit war, but because this is the government which has taken the call, it is saying that it has stolen a march. The point being made here, Mr. Pilot, is that the Congress government decided to conduct only a survey instead of caste census, and the survey is known as SECC. Do you think the data that on the basis of which you were distributing the benefits of the benefits of the government was skewed?
So, Maria, why are you going back to the Congress government? For the last 11 years, there's been a BJP government, and as recent as yesterday, the BJP government of India were opposed to it, and publicly so. They were not hiding the fact that they were against the caste census, but obviously the political pressure, the kind of grassroots support that we got for this issue, they understood and they read the writing on the wall and have announced it today. All I'm saying is that I'm glad they did, though belatedly. Moving forward, what is far more important is that they don't do a shoddy job or just on the tip of the surface. Because in Telangana, for example, what we've done is a very detailed analysis of how people are living, what conditions they're living, their per capita income, their education, their standards of life, etc. Those are very, very important questions. I don't want to go into which government did what. For the last years, we have been asking singularly, the topmost agenda for Mr. Gandhi and the party was, let's get an actual holistic exercise done using scientific means to get tangible data for us to make policy interventions when we require them to do so. So today, after a lot, and this is the surprising part of the government, I'm sure even the topmost ministers in the government had no idea what they were doing it. But I feel that they've read the political landscape house shifting very quickly, and people are understanding why we are saying that we need the caste census. And for whatever reason, they have succumbed to what we've been asking for. They've done it. I appreciate it. I think it's a welcome step, but we'll wait and watch to see how things pan out in the next months to come.
Okay. Could you have done it when you were in power? You were also part of the cabinet, part of the Council of Ministers.
Yeah, could we have not done many things 50 years ago? We could have announced bullet train 30 years ago. We could have announced Notebandi, last year. It's all in history, right? But for 11 years, 3 terms, the same government. And the fact you're not appreciating, Myra, is the fact that when we're asking for something, they're brushing it aside. For years, the BJP was making a non-issue of it, and they were actually calling the Congress party names and using adjectives that I can't repeat on the camera, that this is unbecoming, and why should the Congress party, Mr. Gandhi, Mr. Kharge ask for these things? Now suddenly things have changed. No one is asking the government that you've taken a U-turn for the nth time on multiple issues, including lateral entry, including Farmers Bill, including Land Acquisition Act, so many U-turns, including this one. So I think you should be asking the government that solid question as to why you're opposing it publicly and suddenly you decided to do it. For our sake, I'm happy for the country. I'm happy for our party that our stance is now vindicated. And we hope that this will have very, very positive results coming up.
And last question to you, as someone who interacts with multiple sections of people, are you not sensing that this could also clear the decks for what will be seen as demand for reservation in the private sector coming up next, and that could also lead to pushback from the private sector?
Because that's speculation. I won't go into it. All I'm saying is basically we are a country that is 1.4 billion people. Unless we have actual data. So today there's a lot of claims, counterclaims, there's allocation of budgets and policies ad hoc. We don't know how much budget we're allocating to what scheme, to what programs, and who are the beneficiaries. We have today the Aadhaar card, we have bank accounts, we have digital fingerprints, we have everything. Why should we not know? If we can do a head count for all the tigers and the animals and so on in the country, why can't we know who is living in what condition and what we need to do? Perhaps sometimes you need to reduce some assistance to people who already had enough and they're more needy people in some sections. So it's basically a scientific way of analyzing the data and our demography so that we can do justice to everybody. It's a very simple task if one has the conviction and the political will to do so.
All right, Sachin Pilot, really appreciate your time here on NDTV. Let's listen in to what Mallikarjun Kharge, Congress chief, had to say on this announcement. He spoke to my colleague, Deepak Bopanna.
Joining me is the AICC President, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge. In 2023, 2 years ago, he had written a letter to the centre that there is a need for a caste census. And today, when the announcement has happened from the centre, he's here joining us. So, what do you make of this announcement? Do you welcome it? Tell us at this point in time, what do you feel?
No, it is a good decision. And for this decision, we were waiting since long. And I have written earlier also one letter. And recently, 2 years back, also one letter. And that I have shown you with date and with this letter. Yeah. So, to remind them. So, this is a good decision. Let us see, wait, we welcome it. But simply telling and keeping quiet doesn't work. You have to put the budget, sufficient budget you have not put. Now you have to additional budget you have to take up. Yeah. For this, and whatever expenditure comes, that expenditure central government should make allocation and do it. Then only it will prove it.
Well, that was the AICC President, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, of course, who's saying that right now the implementation should be done as soon as possible by the centre.
All right, let me bring in Tuhin Sinha now. Tuhin, a quick reaction on all that you have heard from the Congress leaders. Okay, we'll try and connect with Tuhin in just a bit. But yes, come in, Amitabh Tiwari. The question is, Bihar will be the first testing ground. And what immediate impact are you sensing in Bihar?
So clearly, this is a change of stance by the BJP because the party was non-committal on a caste census. Because it felt that it had already the OBC vote in its fold. OBC vote being doubled from 22% to 44% during the 10 years 2009 to 19. The setback in the Lok Sabha elections, and largely if you see the BJP and NDA have lost vote share amongst the upper and lower OBCs, including in Bihar where it still won 30 out of 40 seats, and massive support in the UP where it lost anywhere between 10% to 20% support from the OBCs. So, and with Rahul Gandhi raising this issue, the party has tried to, let's say, snatch the main poll plank of the Congress party, because this is not just Bihar or UP. Now, what will you do with the caste census numbers? Congress has clearly said that they would raise the ceiling from 50% to, let's say, 60-65%, anywhere in between that. But the BJP has not yet announced it. It will have to eventually, because what will you do with these numbers? So the main plank of the BJP, or I would say it has found the main plank of a 2029 Lok Sabha elections, where social justice could be its key point going into the Lok Sabha elections, with a caste census done, and also perhaps with a raise in the ceiling of reservations. You were talking about the private reservations. First, it has to increase the reservation cap in the government sector.
That's right.
Then only the private sector will come. Correct. So
Yes.
all these things, I think, largely political. Of course, social justice is part of it, and the BJP has received quite a lot of OBC support, and it wants to consolidate that support for it.
Tuhin Sinha, in the absence of a timeline, is this mere symbolism?
Good evening, Maria. Point number one, we had never, spoken against caste reservation. As recently as September 2024, when Amit Shahji was categorically asked whether, the caste census would be included in the new census, he said a decision will be taken soon. So number one, this entire theory, we don't act in haste. We don't like to hoodwink the country like Rahul Gandhi has been doing on the issue of caste census. They could not make the caste census public in 2011 because 8.19 crore errors were detected, out of which 1.5 crores had no solution. So we needed time to be sure that we are in a position to carry out a flawless and impeccable caste census, which will not be used for vested political gains. And we are now prepared for that. So the moment census is announced, it's very much a census is due. So, it would take place very soon. Number two, according to Article 246 of the Constitution, census is solely under the central list. By carrying out these phony caste surveys, which various Congress governments have undertaken, they are creating confusion, they are manipulating records, and they are trying to put reservation in the wrong hands, particularly in the hands of one community, which is in contravention of the norms to be followed. Number three, we will strictly conform to the triple test doctrine laid out by the Supreme Court on the issue of reservation. Unlike Rahul Gandhi, who has been, clamoring for extension of 50%, we will strictly stick to the constitutional norms on reservation, once the caste census is done. So these are very critical differences between us and the Congress party. And I don't think, Rahul Gandhi's idea has anything to do with what we have been planning for a very long time.
Okay, but the larger question is that in case if it was an idea, because there are 3 states where caste survey was done. Bihar, which was done only in 2017 when MGB was in power, Mahagathbandhan was in power, and Nitish Kumar was the face of that government. It has been implemented in Telangana, and it has been implemented in Karnataka.
So that's what I said, Maria. It was very important to put an end to these hasty political gimmicks, disguised as disguised as caste surveys, because essentially a census needs to be undertaken by the central government. It's a central subject, and it would put an end to the politicking on. Our problem is, with the kind of intentions which the Congress party had with caste census. You would recall, the statements of Rahul Gandhi that the only reason Agniveer has been introduced is to divide the army so that Agniveers are people belonging to backward caste. We had a problem with this divisive mentality. We never had a problem with caste census for developmental purposes, and this was specified even by RSS last year in very categoric words.
Okay, come in now, Bhavya.
The very fact that the way they are spinning the whole narrative around, I would like to remind Tuhin Sinha, the BJP has always been anti-reservation and anti-caste census. In fact, BJP, RSS and ABVP had opposed reservation in 1970s in Bihar and Gujarat government. In fact, your RSS Sarsang Chalak Golwalkar called it breeds jealousy and conflict. These were his words against this reservation. He even said SC/STs, the reservation will make them slaves with the lure of money. These are his words. And now you're saying you were always for caste census and you were never against it? Come on, just recently in Karnataka, when the cabinet was discussing the caste census, the BJP opposed, which is the primary opposition here, was protesting against it. We are really happy you're falling in line with the Congress's, demands now. And this is the result of a consistent effort of our leaders, both Kharge ji and Rahul Gandhi ji. They have been writing letters in Raipur Convention. our plenary session, 85th plenary session of Congress, we took this as a resolution in our Congress Working Committee repeatedly. We have been taking this as a resolution that even in 2024 manifesto of Congress, parliamentary elections, we had this. You show me your BJP manifesto where you have written about caste census. This is a
Maria,
result
can
of,
I respond?
This is a
Yes, please
result
go
of,
ahead. Tuhin Sinha, respond.
Maria, when did the Kaka Kelkar Commission put forth its recommendations? 1957. When were they adopted and National Commission for Backward Caste granted constitutional status? 2018. 61 years later. Who opposed Mantle Commission for 8 years from 1982 till the time it was implemented in 1990? It was solely the Congress party. Who introduced, OBC reservation in NEET exams? It was the Modi government in 2020. So, the Congress should stop waxing eloquent on the issue. The Congress has never gone beyond tokenism. Our problem with the Karnataka so-called, caste census, caste survey, which they had done in Karnataka and Chhattisgarh, was that they did not even have the courage to make it public because they themselves knew that it was manipulated, it was a very hasty act, and the only ostensible reason was to pass on the benefits of reservation to a particular community, which we opposed because that was against the constitution.
Okay. Professor Badri Narayan, let's look at the point which is being made here by the BJP spokesperson about the surveys which have been done by the 3 states. Were they really hasty, and the nature of data which was produced after that survey, what did it really achieve?
Actually, Maria, when this national census will come, all these data collected by the state will be irrelevant because the national data will prevail. And national census data, as you know, are collected through elaborate process, methodological rigor, and in a big exercise. And one of my friends was telling that there are a lot of MSME of caste has been started in the form of caste surveys. So caste surveys need to be transformed in a bigger caste census and well thought, rigorous planned exercise. I think national census will do it, and hopefully we'll get more authentic data, not political postured data, because data has no face. You can give it face. So if you use it politically and if you frame it politically, it can tell you a story.
Okay.
So I think national census data, which we expire or we expect that it will emerge as a more authentic data for the development purposes, for the social development, which we can be used.
Amitabh Tiwari, what after caste census? Because will reservation then be extended beyond, the cap will move ahead of 50% and it will be pan-India?
I'm not sure, but there has to be some logical conclusion to the data which will come out. So the SC/ST community already has reservation largely in proportion to the population. So this is largely about the OBC community. Now everybody knows that the OBC community population is not fixed as in not very clear. It's anywhere between 41 to 51%. Some numbers are even above that. But the reservation is around 27% only. So let's say like in Bihar or in Karnataka and Telangana, this numbers comes to around 50-51%. So what do you do with that number? Because then the Congress party could again pitch this slogan, जिसकी जितनी आबादी उसकी उतनी हिस्सेदारी होनी चाहिए. So ultimately, you will have to do something with that number, correct? So the pressure on the government to increase the reservation cap would improve, and now you have an opposition which is willing to lend support to you to increase. This is something which might be in the offing. We might see it in the next 3 to 4 years. See, politics, caste is cast in stone in Indian politics. Around 55% of people, as per an Aziz Premji study, prefer leaders of their own caste. So this is the reality of India. One cannot run away from it. And hopefully, whatever the objectives the government is trying to fulfill by doing a caste census is going to be met by this study.
Okay. Dr. Suraj, please come in and then I'll give the last word to the 2 politicians on the show.
I think we should look at this update on caste census as a success of a united Bahujan movement that has been lobbying for it. Neither the BJP, neither the Congress were interested in this. And now them carrying the flagpole of success is laughable for someone like me to look at them, because both of them were in power and never took in following administrative steps towards it. So every time when it comes to the issues of castes, both of them have their own unholy acts that they have committed. And of course now they are undoing it. But if you really have to identify who deserves the credit to this, it is those working class or government employees who united against the government's decision to not conduct census and had series of rallies and protests and functions to educate people about that. And that's the kind of pinnacle of today's kind of outcome of the government doing it. Rahul Gandhi did not wake up one day and thought about doing census. He was defeated back and forth by the very voters that he was pitting against. Now it is to the credit of the president of Congress party, who himself is a staunch anti-caste leader, who is a social justice warrior, Mallikarjun Kharge. I think that influence has played a part. But neither these ruling parties, even the communists for that matter, did not lend support. So when we undermine the cause of Dalits or the backward caste people, the history is far too long. In South, it was Periyar. It was the movement here that continued onwards for the backward class representation. And I think we ought to give credit to those names and those leaders who are not mentioned neither by Congress or BJP.
Point taken. I think both the Congress and the BJP should not take credit here. It is the working class and their efforts over years which has yielded the results today, Bhavya.
Even after having the whole evidence of how we consistently strive towards this, if you want to say something like this, that's fine. Yeah, of course. Without the people, we wouldn't be putting the pressure on the government, and we wouldn't be putting it in our manifesto as well, because it was a very participative exercise we did before creating our manifesto. But this caste census, just by announcing this, we will not let BJP sleep on it and use this as an eyewash, right? One thing, they need to announce the timeline before which they're going to implement this. 2, the budget and the plan which they will be following. 3, just now the BJP spokesperson said they will not be increasing the cap to increase the 50% which has been given in the constitution. According to why they can always amend it.
That's
because
the next question.
The whole purpose of caste census, to identify the communities which are socially, economically and educationally backward and make sure they are representative at the highest level, even in the power structure, right?
Clearly the Congress spokesperson is not aware of the triple test doctrine. So, I think they need to enlighten themselves better. But fact is, historically, Modi government thrives upon challenges, whether it was the abrogation of Article 370, whether it was the historic Waqf Amendment Act, or now, the caste census, which has not happened from 1931, we will execute a flawless, impeccable caste census, which will further lead to inclusive development. And conducting this caste census after 100 years without political motives and with the best of intent for the country will set a new paradigm for development.
All right, we have really come to the end of this discussion. Thank you so much for joining us, Tuhin Sinha, Bhavya, Amitabh Tiwari, Dr. Suraj and Professor Badri Narayan. Shifting focus to a newsmaker who's joining me at the moment, Professor Manoj Jha is our RJD MP. Professor Jha, really appreciate your time. A year and a half ago, and we'll be playing a part of that speech as well, Professor Jha, you had said in a speech that it is only this government which can implement caste census. So are we to believe that you also understood the political will Prime Minister Modi can display, or was it also about the numerical strength that the government had and has, and hence, because of that power, it can go ahead with the decision of this nature today?
Maria, let me make a very small modification in your statement. I had not said the government can do it. I said the government will have to do it. Now, why did I say that? Because something which I have been saying, I said it in the parliament also, that an idea which has arrived, you cannot set it aside. Caste census was an idea. I think the voices began from 1978, 78, 79, particularly after the Mandal Commission when it had to rely on 1931 census. At the subterranean level, these voices were there. Subsequently, it was amplified by Laluji, late Mulayam Singh ji, late Sharad Yadav ji, and I would say even leaders like Gopinath Munde from within the BJP. Hence, 2011 census was agreed upon that they'll have an amalgamation, the data of which never saw the light of the day. Now, when I had said that, because after that in Bihar, when Tejaswi ji came to power for 17 months, it was done through its own resources. BJP tried to block it. They went to the extent of saying, kept on saying till late that caste census will increase casteism. I mean, without understanding the sociological, anthropological implications of it. I'm very glad that the Bahujan will has ensured cutting across almost all political parties started understanding the implication, the importance of this live data, contemporary data of scientific nature, which will help state governments and union governments to have a very focused development priorities and policies.
Professor Chand, let's look at Bihar in particular, because 6 months to go for Bihar elections. Many are seeing this as a decision which has been taken keeping the upcoming Bihar elections on mind. What do you think is the political impact going to be on Bihar?
The Prime Minister is free to take this decision. Even then we'll welcome it. If he has done it, keeping in view in Bihar election, there is something core ideology. The core ideology of BJP is not in sync with these kind of issues which impact the subaltern grammar, subaltern priorities. We had been raising it, DMK had been raising it, of late Congress also was raising it. Importance is, let's not look at it through the election lens. These are the decisions, and I tell you, historic decisions have been taken in this country in different kind of phases. For this decision to hold a caste census, this idea had arrived in a big way. Prime Minister and his party was in a denial mode. They kept on saying that we don't need it. It will enhance casteism. And we kept on arguing that, look, this will put an end to caste-based discrimination and denial. I am glad Honorable Prime Minister has seen the brighter side of this issue, thanks to the leaders who had been speaking about caste-based census and the urgency of it.
But sir, don't you think that Prime Minister Modi's predecessors have much to explain? That they had a political opportunity which they actually missed. If it is about caste census, then Mr. Modi can well claim that he and his government walked the talk.
Look, till date we don't know, because when I asked this question in the parliament, 2018 I came to parliament and I asked specifically what happened to that data which was collected in 2011. This government responded to me by saying that the data got corrupted. I don't know how anthropological, sociological data could get corrupted. I have not understood it so far. They thought they can put it in the back burner, that people will forget about it. Ironically and interestingly, and fortunately, people did not forget about it. There were more voices which talked about caste-based census, urgency of it. You must do it. You must do it. Even BJP leaders, when I used to take it on behalf of my party in 0 hour or a special mention, they will come and tell me in the canteen or central hall that yes, we need it. We need it. So there was a disconnect between BJP top leadership and the people who came from those socio-economic background.
My last question to you would be, to the academician in you, because you wear multiple hats besides a politician. How would you look at the fear which is coming in that this could lead to a demand of reservation also in a private sector?
Look, I don't know, Maria, frankly speaking, how do we treat private sector as the holy cow? A sacrosanct kind of thing. Let me tell you, first of all, I've said it on the floor of the House. The private sector is not that private. It thrives on lot many things which the public, the state gives it. So, and private sector has to understand and reflect the diversity of India. If you don't reflect the diversity of India, you actually are betraying the mandate which the government itself gives to you.
All right, Professor Manoj, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us on what is being seen as a big decision, a landmark decision which has been taken by Prime Minister Modi's government. Lots of reactions coming in. Let's listen in.
आज हम लोगों की ताकत देखिए, समाजवादियों की ताकत देखिए कि इनको हमारे ही एजेंडे पर जो है काम करना पड़ रहा है। तो अब हमारी अगली लड़ाई ये होगी कि जब ये जनगणना होगी जिसमें इंक्लूड किया जाएगा कास्ट सेंसस का भी, तब उसके बाद जब नतीजे आएंगे देश के जो विधानसभा चुनाव में हमारी मांग रहेगी कि पिछड़ों और अति पिछड़ों के लिए भी जैसे दलित और आदिवासी भाइयों का आरक्षित सीटें हैं, जो है आरक्षित सीटें जो है वो करनी पड़ेगी।
ನಮ್ಮ ಮ್ಯಾನಿಫೆಸ್ಟೋನಲ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಸೋಷಿಯೋ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ಬರೀ ಕ್ಯಾಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಾ, ಸೋಷಿಯೋ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಸರ್ವೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಾ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ನೋಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು. ಬರೀ ಈಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಕ್ಯಾಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಮತ್ತು ಜನಗಣತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಅದೇ ಸರಿಯಪ್ಪ. ಸೋಷಿಯೋ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಸರ್ವೆ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ सोशियो इकोनॉमिक सर्वे ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ।
कांग्रेस और इंडी गठबंधन के नेताओं में श्रेय लेने की होड़ लगी हुई है। मैं श्री राहुल गांधी जी से पूछना चाहता हूं, पहले जवाब देना होगा कांग्रेस ने क्यों नहीं की जातिगत जनगणना। कांग्रेस ने हमेशा जातिगत गणना का जनगणना का विरोध किया। झूठ बोलना और भ्रम फैलाना ये कांग्रेस के डीएनए में है।
ये बड़ा और ऐतिहासिक फैसला है जिसके लिए मैं अपनी तरफ से, मेरी पार्टी लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी रामविलास की तरफ से, मेरे प्रधानमंत्री आदरणीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी का हृदय से आभार प्रकट करता हूं। मेरे बिहार की 14 करोड़ जनता की तरफ से और समस्त देशवासियों की तरफ से मुझे लगता है आज एक लंबी जो हम लोगों की इच्छा थी, मांग थी, ख्वाहिश थी, आज हर उस देशवासी की इस ख्वाहिश को मेरे प्रधानमंत्री ने पूरा करने का कार्य किया। जातीय जनगणना का सबसे ज़्यादा असर देश के तमाम उन गरीब जातियों से आने वाले लोगों को होगा जो संभवतः अभी तक मुख्य धारा के साथ नहीं जुड़ पाए हैं, केंद्र राज्य सरकार की योजनाओं का उस स्तर पर लाभ नहीं ले पाए हैं जो अपेक्षित था।
This has been a long-standing demand of the opposition parties, the Congress, the DMK and other parties which believe in positive social justice, that we needed some sort of a data for reservation or for other welfare measures which had to be targeted to the population which deserves. So this is something that we have been asking the union government to do. Now the BJP has understood that it is a genuine question or the genuine demand of the people that was put by opposition.
With that, it's a wrap from me on this edition of The Last Word, a decision which will have huge socio-political, economic impact in the next few months and perhaps years and decades in India.